All right, let's talk about motivation. You know, that internal fire that gets us going, that pushes us to do great things. But what if that fire isn't entirely yours? What if someone else is stoking it for their benefit? Today we're diving into how the very idea of motivation has gotten a little twisted.
So let me just start with a big question, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Is the motivation you feel every single day actually helping you, or is it maybe using you? I know it sounds a little dramatic, but stick with me on this. It's a really important question to ask.
Okay, so before we get into the messy stuff, let's just back up. Let's start with the basics. What is motivation supposed to be? At its best, it's that genuine, awesome feeling, that internal promise that you're making progress.
At its very core, motivation is just that, an inner spark. It's the why behind getting things done. Now, psychologists usually break this down into two very different types, and understanding the difference, well, it's pretty much everything.
And here's where it gets really interesting. On one side, you've got intrinsic motivation. This is the pure stuff. It's when you do something just because you love it. On the other side, you've got extrinsic motivation, and that's all about outside forces, chasing a reward, getting praised, or avoiding getting in trouble. And here's the key. The intrinsic stuff leads to real, lasting happiness. The extrinsic stuff, it usually vanishes the second the prize is gone.
So, how does this amazing positive spark get so twisted? Well, this is where we get into the heart of it. We're going to talk about how motivation can be, and often is, used to manipulate you.
Let me just put it plainly. Entire industries, companies, apps, influencers have gotten incredibly good at hijacking your natural drive. They know exactly which of your extrinsic buttons to push to get what they want, whether that's your money, your attention, or your time.
And you see these tactics everywhere, every day. That limited time offer that suddenly appears in your inbox, that's just FOMO, the fear of missing out, dressed up as motivation. The gym ad promising a beach body in 30 days, that's pure hype. And those endless notifications from your apps and the rising grind posts all over social media, they're designed to keep you hooked, to keep you scrolling.
And make no mistake about it, this is huge business. The self-help industry, which often sells you these external fixes, isn't some tiny little market. It's an $11 billion machine built entirely on the promise of a quick fix for your motivation.
But what's the real cost of all this pressure? Well, this number is pretty shocking. 55% of entrepreneurs say they're dealing with burnout, and they point directly to the constant pressure from so-called hustle culture, that relentless 24/7 message that if you're not grinding, you're failing. It seeps into our daily habits too. You know all that motivational content on social media? Well, studies show that it can increase our screen time by as much as 20%, but the result isn't always feeling inspired. A lot of the time, it's just more stress and more comparison.
And this chart kind of lays out the whole story. On one side, you have that massive industry value, billions of dollars. But then look at the human cost on the other side. Sky-high burnout rates, and a significant number of people who say the stress actually makes them lose motivation. It's a cycle that fuels an industry, but often leaves people feeling totally drained. And all of this leads us directly into what I call the burnout zone. Because all this external pressure, all this manufactured hype, well, it comes with a price, and it's usually a hidden one.
This quote really hits home because it's a story for so many people. You get all fired up by a seminar or a book, you chase that external goal, and hey, you might even get it. But then the crash comes. You're left feeling completely empty, exhausted, and just wondering, what was that all for? So this really shows the two different roads you can go down. Real intrinsic motivation, it's like planting a tree. It grows slowly, but it creates sustainable, long-term energy. Manipulative motivation, on the other hand, is like a rocket. You get a huge explosive spike and then a really hard crash. One builds you up, the other just burns you out.
And listen, this isn't a small problem affecting just a few people. A full 60%, that's 3 out of every 5 employees, say they feel the weight of negative stress at work, leaving them feeling totally drained of energy. This is the direct result of that overwhelming external pressure.
Okay, so that's a lot of the bad news. But let's flip the script. Let's talk about solutions. How do you actually fight back against all this noise and reclaim that authentic inner spark for yourself?
It really boils down to 4 simple but super powerful steps. First, tune into your gut. Before you do something, just ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to or because someone is selling it to me? Second, build those intrinsic habits. Do things for the joy of it,
Go for a walk to enjoy the air, not just to hit a step count. Third, start limiting those extrinsic traps. Turn off some notifications, question the hype. And finally, practice real, meaningful self-care.
And this isn't just some feel-good advice, okay? It's actually backed by data. Simple acts of self-care, like setting clear boundaries and actually allowing yourself to rest, can lead to a 38% reduction in feelings of burnout. That is powerful proof that sometimes less external pressure is the real key to more energy.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. We are all constantly chasing more motivation. But maybe that's the wrong goal entirely. What if the real goal isn't to feel more motivated all the time, but to cultivate the right kind of motivation? The kind that comes from within you and actually builds you up instead of burning you out. Just something to think about.